And this is Lynda Reider. I am here with Gretchen Moen. We are off the cuff for Cut the Clutter, RBA. How are you today, Miss Moen?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to dive into today's topic. We're talking about how to let go of things when purging and decluttering. So we've kind of broken that down into 4 easy steps. And Mrs. Moen is going to get us started with that today.
Okay, great. So the first consideration is start easy. We all have areas of our home that are filled with emotional kind of decisions, like heirlooms or photos or letters. That's not where you want to start your process. You want to start with an area that's easier. For some people, this means the kitchen or your closet. Whatever items are not as emotional for you, start there, because we see decluttering like a train leaving a station, right? It starts off slow and it builds momentum. And so you want to give yourself some grace, start with an easy spot, give yourself the opportunity to create that momentum. And then you'll see that making some of the really harder decisions becomes easier. That's step 1. Step 2 is another consideration is you're going to ask yourself certain questions when you're looking at items that you're unsure if you should get rid of them. And there are 3 basic questions that you'll ask. The first is, have I used this item in the last 6 to 9 months? The second question is, do I like this item? And the third is, would I buy this item again? If you answer no to any of those questions, then it's time to let that item go. Yes, exactly. Out of here. Put it in your to-go pile and save it for when you can take your donations off to one of our wonderful nonprofits. So those are the first 2 considerations. I'm going to hand it over to Lynda for some other thoughts.
You like to give me the emotional stuff, don't you, Mrs. Moen?
Yes.
So the next part is, like, there are some things that we just easily know if we want to hold on to or if we want to let go. But then we get to the emotional items, and the emotional items are pretty much tied back to one of 3 things, and sometimes it's a combination of all 3. But it's either about a relationship, an experience, or an achievement. And so we hold on to those things because they're precious milestones and they were important to us. And we're not saying you have to let go of all of them, but we are saying you should really be intentional about the ones and the things that you do hold on to and you do keep. And one of the things that Gretchen and I were talking about prior to doing this is we had a client where they collected a lot of sporting memorabilia. And for that, you know, it was very exciting to them. It represented to them the beginning of their relationship. It represented the fun and the laughter and the good times and life before responsibility. It also represented, you know, these great experiences when you get to go and you really are fun loving, right? And then finally, it was a symbol of achievement, right? To be able to afford to go to professional sporting events of any kind, it's not a cheap ticket. So to be able to go, they always like to get souvenirs and mementos. And so kind of the takeaway for that is there's only so many places in your home that you're going to put up these souvenirs and these mementos. So rather than putting the money into those, save that money and use it for your next experience, your next trip, your next adventure, and let that be part of the refocusing of the things that you where you want to spend your time, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's especially to remember that memories are not things. Memories are just a part of what has shaped you into the person you are now. So when you're letting go of some of those things, you really need to keep in mind things like the item isn't it it isn't the representation of your relationship or of that person. It's just an item. And it may be very special, but be intentional about the ones that are special to you and bring good memories to you, right?
Yeah, and along those lines, I think our recommendation is challenge yourself to, within any category, keep no more than 3 items. We're not saying none, we're saying less. And less in this case is more memorable and more special than more, really. If you have boxes of these sporting memorabilia items and you can't possibly even know what's in the boxes because you have so much, juxtapose that with having just 3 and being able to display them prominently and see them for what they are every day. That's a really good way to embrace the specific memories of those events and achievements and all of that. Let me give you an example. When my dad passed away a year and a half ago, we were cleaning out the house and I kept 3 things. I kept, and some of these things may seem a little random, but actually in my case, all 3 of these things are useful items. So they're functional. I kept his business card holder that has his name and the logo of the company that he worked for over 30 years. And so I see that every day that we're working, every day that I hand someone a business card, I see that wonderful representation of my dad, and I feel how he would be proud of me with what we're doing with this business. I also kept a long sleeve t-shirt that I sometimes sleep in. That was his, and it was something that we actually gave to him and he thought was really fun. It was a Life is Good t-shirt. And then I kept fleece sweatshirt, which just is cozy and again, just feels good. And I remember him when I'm wearing those. And I know Lynda has a similar example where she kept just a few items from someone who has passed in her life.
Yeah, so whenever my mamaw passed away, she was a big believer in angels, and so I've kept one of her angel rings. And it sounds silly, and it's probably not worth much of anything at all. But whenever I see it, it just reminds me of her, and it makes me feel good. And it's kind of funny. The other day, I was up in our attic, and I found one of the blankets that she had crocheted for me, and so I brought that down, and it's in my office, and I warm up with it all the time now. So that's really nice. It's I think it's really important to find the things that are important to you that really represent the relationship that you had with that person, and whether it's bringing you warmth or just knowing that someone's always looking out for you above. I think that's a really nice way to honor those relationships, and I think they would be proud of that. I don't think, it's hard, especially with gifts, right? We hear a lot of people say, oh, but so-and-so gave that to me. And that was wonderful that they gave you a gift, right? But I don't think they ever intended for you to keep that gift for the rest of your life. It was to serve a purpose, and 9 times out of 10, the gift giver has forgotten that they gave you that gift. And if they thought that it brought you anxiety, they certainly wouldn't want you to keep it in your home. So really, it's okay to let go of the things that you just don't enjoy, or, sometimes it's a gift that somebody gave you and you just hate it. And it's really okay just to let it go to someone else's home that's going to love it.
That's right. Share the thing. let it have another life with someone who is going to embrace it. And you never know, that item could become super special to someone or help them in some way. So passing things on, paying it forward in that way, I think is really important, especially with those memorable, memorabilia and those kind of items.
One last story as we wrap up today is about another client who had lost everything growing up. I think her home had been foreclosed on 3 or 4 times. So as she came into her professional career, she was able to buy nice clothes and things like that, and she really hated to let go of them because of how hard she had worked to gain them. And the thing that really turned the table for her was when we talked about how all of those business outfits could help other young women who had come from similar circumstances build themselves up and give themselves a firm footing and foundation. And that really just turned her on and lit a fire underneath her. And I think we ended up donating probably, I don't know, 13 or 14 bags full of clothes. So it was just really an awesome experience to be a part of that. So as we wrap up, if you are facing anything like that where you just feel overwhelmed by things and you want to purge them out and find new homes for them and new purposes for them, we understand that, things do mean something to you, but we can help you rehome them and take control of what you're dealing with on your daily struggle. So that's something we can do to help you with. We would love to give us a call, drop us a message. Do you have anything else to add today, Mrs. Moen?
I don't, but we'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you're dealing with. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have a great day.